Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Type V3 and the Soldier of Death and Rebirth has awakened. This is SH Figuarts' Sailor Saturn. Known in her civilian form as Hotaru Tomoe, she is easily the black sheep of all the Sailor Scouts. Like all the previously released SH Figuarts Scouts, Sailor Saturn makes for a great representation of her anime counterpart. However, while she may be visually similar to her teammates, judging this toy as a simple reuse of parts would be ignorant. In fact, the mold itself might be entirely new. I say this because the first thing to note about Saturn is her size. At 5 inches tall, she's substantially smaller than everyone else. Apart from her actual costume differences, which look nice, there are other changes which deal purely with the construction of the toy. Her shoulders still use double-ended ball joints, but because they're not part of the shoulder pads, they don't look strange in extreme poses. Secondly, her hip area has been reworked to have more plastic covering the main joint, so unlike the original 5 Scouts who had strange ball-jointed stems, Saturn has a more natural-looking pelvic area. As for paint and other details, Hotaru follows the trend of metallic colors and pearlescent whites. Her deep maroon bows are a nice contrast to the pale lavender colors, and the silver accessories serve as a striking accent. My only gripe is that I wish the tops of the laces on the boots were a separate layered piece, instead of being molded directly onto the surface. Saturn's head sculpt is pretty good too. Her hair carries a very faint violet highlight to it, yet there's something with the overall sculpt that just seems off. Maybe the hair has slightly too much volume to it? I'm not sure. As for the faces, there's a total of 4, smiling, neutral, screaming, and eyes closed. All of them capture the character's look perfectly. If there was one missed opportunity here, I think Bandai could have thrown in a second head with Hotaru's hair flowing in the wind. Overall, this is a great looking toy with very little issues to speak of. Interestingly, despite all the new parts and slight modifications with construction, SH Figuarts Sailor Saturn has no more or no less articulation than the previous Sailor Scout releases. On to the accessories, and Sailor Saturn isn't exactly loaded with them. Apart from her default hands, there's 4 extra pairs. There are fists, splayed fingers, Spider-Man thwip hands, and gripping fists. Surprisingly, each pair comes on its own storage base, which can then be connected to form a hand rack. If anything, it's a strange inclusion. Next is Saturn's only weapon, the Silence Glaive. It's well sculpted and sharply painted with 2 tones of silver finishes. The figure has no weight issues wielding the weapon, however, because neither of the ends pop off, exercise caution when getting the hands to grip the staff all too much for Sailor Saturn. And this figure doesn't do anything to sway my opinion. But don't take that as me saying that this is a forgettable toy. In actuality, with her modified construction, along with a traditional weapon, SH Figuarts Sailor Saturn might be the best in the lineup in terms of a pure action figure. Of course, she also just looks fantastic, so there's that too. On the other hand, if you already thought that the previous SH Figuarts Sailor Moon releases were a tad overpriced, Saturn's diminutive size and minor price increase will only disappoint. Also, I would have gladly ditched the novel hand racks for another head sculpt with windswept hair. Regardless of that, if you've been satisfied with the SH Figuarts Sailor Scouts up to this point, then I'm confident you'll like Sailor Saturn. She offers no surprises and completely meets expectations. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and when Sailor Moon coverage returns, we'll take a look at a lovely pair of cousins.